Hey now. Hello, you good people, friends, lovers. Thank you for joining us. Today is Sunday, and that means this is 5 minutes. 5 minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. And apropos of the topic today, we're starting a minute and a half late. Or is that 2.5? Whatever it is what it is. Today is Sunday, January 22nd, the 22nd day of the year, the whole month of January. That's going to sound silly. Today is January 22nd, and believe it or not, that's the 22nd day of this year. After today, and this is what's important, 343 days remaining in 2023. 343 opportunities to make this your best year yet. Christmas is just 337 days away. Amy doesn't care. All she cares about is there's 282 days until Halloween, but 23. We're down to 23 days, 3 weeks until Valentine's Day.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, we have plans, or I have plans of decorating the studio in hearts and garland and pink and red and sparkliness and lights and
Yes.
and roses with lights and little curtains of hearts.
Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing.
And although you don't see any of the decorations yet, some of them have already come in from our international suppliers. What you do see is a little extra color today because we're talking about vibrancy.
Yes. Woo! 3D.
Because we have been having some fun with that, including a night on the town, a date night.
We went on a date.
We went on a date.
Yes, it was so good.
Speaking of dates, on this date, in 1984, Apple's iconic 1984 commercial aired during Super Bowl XVIII. You know the commercial. They have Apple is going to bust us out of the slave state of 1984. All of the gray people, the implication being, of course, you Microsoft users are all the gray NPCs, non-player characters, serving under the yoke of the state. I remember that commercial. It was brilliant. A brilliant commercial, of course, aired in 1984, right? The crazy thing about it was in 1984, we were just finding out what personal computers were and what they could do. And we weren't living in a slave state. We were buying new computers. And
for $4,000 at the time.
and watching these charming 1984 themed commercials on color televisions. And we thought, oh my gosh, 1984 hasn't happened yet. Well, it must be right around the corner. Big Brother is coming. Who would have thought that it would be 2023? And I'm still, well, you know, there's always been some aspect of Big Brother out there. There's a reason why we have had to subscribe to eternal vigilance, why we have had to be careful. But it amuses me because I was born before 1984. So I remember when 1984 was the future. And the future was ominous as hell. Still waiting to see that.
Yeah, 1984 was nuclear holocaust. You know, we're all dead underneath our school desks.
And those risks were real, and in some ways they still are. It's just, you know, one of my themes is I think we exaggerate the evils. We need to acknowledge the evils in the world, but we exaggerate them. When we find out from Edward Snowden just how much of Big Brother is out there, we still tend to exaggerate it as if the boxcars we were told about that were waiting for us under the Obama administration really are out there to haul us all away. Not getting too much into that. Just was amused that today was the date that Super Bowl commercial aired. Let's get into happier things, because this will be a quick and happy episode. Born on this date, Lord Byron. George Gordon Byron. Well, I'm thinking Biden because I'm thinking Obama. George Gordon Byron. Lord Byron, born on this date in 1788. I was stealing Lord Byron quotes for my Twitter feed. I may have to start that up again.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are a couple people, it turns out, who actually miss it. I was posting inspirational or amusing quotes every weekday morning on Twitter before 6 a.m. And my morning routine has changed, so I'm not always up before 6 a.m. I don't know. I might need to get back on track with that. Lord
I say
Byron.
sleep in with your wife. What do you say? Should Robert get up early or should he sleep in with his wife?
Should I stay in bed with my wife or should I get up early to serve you all? Gee, that makes it sound like a really tough choice. You know, Lord Byron, as a poet, as a writer, he was scandalous. Oh, many people thought he was the devil. Of course, he was very questioning about religion, but so many great quotes from Lord Byron, including "Those who will not reason are bigots. Those who cannot are fools, and those who dare not are slaves." So, link to information about Lord Byron in the show notes. Show notes for this episode, you got to take a look. Look in the YouTube description or on the description on Facebook. Good stuff in there. But yes, a happy birthday to the late Lord Byron. Also, a happy birthday to the late Conrad Veidt. Born Hans.
Yes.
That's interesting, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Hans Walter Conrad Veidt. He was born in Germany. Of course, he was an American actor. He came to America and was a big man in Hollywood. It's funny because I first found out about him from Ayn Rand's lists of her favorite actors. And she would put a different number of check marks or hash marks on the list depending on how much stature they had in her eyes. And Conrad Veidt was one of the few with the very highest rating.
Yes. I mean, when he wasn't portraying a maniac, he was quite a looker.
Yes.
You should look him up. He had these big eyes.
You say that because Amy and I discovered on film Hans, I'm still thinking Hans, I was about to say Hans Gudegast, but we'll get to that in a minute. Conrad Veidt, born Hans, from the Cabinet of Doctor Calgary.
Yes, the Cabinet of Doctor Calligraphy.
Yes. If you haven't seen the Cabinet of Doctor Calgary, it's a silent film.
It's German Impressionism, all sorts of interesting stage painting, props and things that make it look very warped and surrealistic in a way.
Very romanticized.
Yes, yeah.
To the nth degree.
Very stylized, actually. Yes.
Absolutely. So
I really liked him as Caesar, actually, in the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. He looked
yes, Apollo Zeus in the chat says Dracula. Maybe he would have been appropriate for the Dracula films, whether he played the big man himself or somebody else. Of course, a lot of you know him because he was also in Casablanca. And so I put a link in the show notes to Amy and I discussing Casablanca with Nikos Sotirakopoulos.
Yes, that's right.
That was a good episode of the Daily Objective.
Sotirakopoulos.
Yes.
Euros and Aristotle.
Yes. One more real quick. This date, born on this date, a happy birthday to Stephen Ray Perry, or Steve Perry. Don't stop believing, Steve. 74 years old today.
Wow.
Very, very cool.
I want to see him sing more. I haven't. Has he been touring? I don't know.
He's done a bit, on and off. There was only one reunion with Journey after he had left Journey, but he's done solo work. He pulled away a lot. We should see exactly where and when he is touring these days. Oh, Sherry.
I just hope that he, like so many beautiful vocalists out there, they lose their range and they can't reach the high notes anymore. So I really hope that he hasn't lost a lot of that.
A few of them pull it off.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing when we went to see REO Speedwagon.
Oh, yeah.
And Loverboy. And who was the third act in that?
Well, that was Styx.
Oh, that was Styx. Okay.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is that Loverboy, and I don't mean to pick on Loverboy because they did do more than just working for the weekend. But, yeah, their lead singer, Mike, what's his name? I'll never forget good old Mike, what's his name?
Mike Loverboy.
He's still out there and he's still rock and roll. He can't hit the high notes anymore.
Yeah, but he was he had an A for effort, I'll tell you that.
He did. He still had the energy. He was still, and he got the crowd going. But especially as a musician, when they start transposing the songs down, a half step or a full step or maybe two full steps, it just sounds a little too low. Why don't you turn me loose? It's just not the same.
Turn me loose.
Whereas Kevin Cronin of REO Speedwagon,
yeah,
they didn't.
Oh,
They didn't have to change anything for him.
No, he's very good.
And, there are a couple times when he couldn't hit a high note, but they didn't change the song. Just leave those notes. That's my preference. As a musician, you musicians, and we've got a bunch in the listening circle here, or what would we even call the audience, our fans, you good people who listen to this show, you know who you are. I prefer that if you can't hit the high notes anymore, don't transpose the song. Change the melody. Just leave those high notes out, but don't ruin the whole song. Anyway, just my personal preference.
You can, instead of hitting high notes, try to find some note that is harmonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some bands that use background singers will let the background singer hit that same high note basically for the singer. Anyway, lots of ways you can do that. Now you know what my preference is. It's also the birth date of Bill Bixby, the original greatest Incredible Hulk, and Michael Hutchence of In Excess. But unfortunately, both of them we lost way too early. I'm going to skip over that real quick and jump right to the holidays, because on this date, it's officially the year of the rabbit.
Yay!
It's Bunny Year.
Happy Bunny New Year! Woo!
Now, we are not fans of the Chi-Coms. This is not about that. We have Chinese-American friends.
Yes.
Good people, and a happy Chinese New Year, really, to everybody. This is the kind of holiday everybody can celebrate, the same way everybody can celebrate Christmas without being a Christian. And especially because it's the year of the rabbit.
Yeah, we had a lovely time last night with our friends, and we had hot pot, which basically was, we had these little shrimp. They were called shrimp balls, and I don't know if they were made of shrimp of some kind, and in the little tiny ball that had like a little tiny pork sausage, which was really great.
Now, the dinner was not about shrimp balls, because that was just one of over a dozen different things going into this pot.
Yeah, there was lamb, there was beef, there was sweet potato, there was daikon radish, there was Napa cabbage, there was all sorts of bok choy, all sorts of vegetables, those really thin stemmed mushrooms that are very tiny. Fun stuff.
And there were other seafood balls as well, because besides the shrimp balls, there were two different kinds of cuttlefish balls.
Yeah, fish balls. I think they were probably just pollock. And they also had the crab sticks.
We were told they were cuttlefish.
Oh, okay.
Explicitly, I was told that.
Very good. Wow.
Which I didn't know you could eat. I've seen cuttlefish, and they were spooky looking.
Not so sure.
But apparently so. In any event, yes, hot pot, great fun. If you have the restaurant, I don't know, is the melting pot still around?
It might be here and there.
They opened in Detroit, and then it seemed like they all closed down after a few years. Anyway, great fun. Take a pot of boiling broth. Cook stuff in it right at the table. Much fun. So a happy Chinese New Year to anybody who celebrates, and everybody should. It's really a 15-day festival that starts with the new moon. So you've got 15 days to celebrate, set off fireworks, worship and praise any bunnies, any rabbits that you see. You know what to do. Finally, the last holiday it is Celebration of Life Day. I've talked about this before because it started out as a religious / anti-abortion holiday. Fortunately, it has evolved into a general celebration of life, and that's as it should be. Ben Bayer just recently posted another one of his brilliant essays on the topic of abortion rights, so look on his Twitter for that. So a happy Celebration of Life Day to everybody in the audience who is alive, those of you for whom that shoe fits.
Yeah, and that news, I know a lot of the, some of the Republican, not a lot, some of the Republican leaders, politicians in the states that have completely banned abortion, including no exceptions for rape and incest. Now they're rethinking things because doctors, good, brave, wonderful doctors and gynecologists are coming to them and saying, we've had to turn people away where they needed treatment, women away, during complications of their pregnancy because we were afraid of being prosecuted, and you need to stop this and you need to rewrite this law or something so that we know that we're not going to end up in jail. And then another politician said something like, well, we need to define, what it means to be pro-life or anti-abortion. And does it mean this? Does it mean that? Does it mean, no exceptions? Does it mean heartbeat? Does it mean, whatever? So they're mulling it over because, obviously there are repercussions to claiming that you represent your people in your state, yet you are lording over them and threatening them with jail time and fines for things that should definitely be legal, for goodness sake. So anyway, there's my soapbox.
Well, that's a good soapbox to be on. And that's all I'm going to say about this date. But this week, I'm telling you, this is a very last-minute show. All the good content today comes from Amy today because
Thank you.
I already did 3 shows this week.
You did.
It turned out that I usually do a Wednesday show with James Valiant, and that's links to that are in the show notes. We did an episode on Ayn Rand and kids, which I think is an important topic because a lot of people who aren't fans of Ayn Rand seem to hold against her that she didn't have kids, and she didn't talk much about kids. It just wasn't her thing. Well, she talked enough about them, and you can find those bits if you like. But James Valiant and I had a great episode about Ayn Rand and kids. And then we did the Daily Objective. It turned out that Greta Thunberg had been arrested in Germany for squatting with 6,000 other protesters in a village that was being razed. Not raised up, but with a Z, torn down.
Later released and hopped on her private jet to her yacht.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was fun. Daily Objective with James Valiant. The title on that, you'll see in the show notes, is Greta Gets Arrested. And somebody points out in the chat that it was staged. Yes, of course it was staged. Yes. Everything she does is staged. And then on Thursday, I did my usual Thursday show on the topic of wonder and awe. Awful or awesome? You could probably guess my answer, but you might like watching that as well. So by the time we got to Sunday, I have to admit I was kind of spent this morning. I didn't really have a topic in mind for today, and Amy had said, well, you could talk about vibrancy. And she originally suggested that for Thursday. I thought, well, that's an interesting topic, because we are in the middle of winter. And
in the deep midwinter.
Oh, man. It's the craziest thing. We're in Michigan. We're broadcasting from Motown, from just outside Detroit. And so in Michigan, and surrounded by the Great Lakes, you know what winter is like here. We are buried under feet of snow every winter. Mm-hmm. But not this winter. We had snow on Christmas.
Yeah. For
a day before it melted. We had 1 or 2 little lights, and that's been it. No snow. And we're hearing from friends around the globe, the 4 corners of the earth, including Jackson, Wyoming, where the folks who make Quent Cordair Fine Art happen, Cordair.com, they got, feet of snow, and they're showing these great pictures of, and around the country, it's beautiful. It has been so gray and
sunshine.
Wet. Oh my gosh.
Just every day is gray, like a gray bubble, like you're on the Truman Show.
No sunshine when the snow's gone. It's just terrible. So Amy has been interested in raising the level of vibrancy in our lives, which is why, of course, you see my honeymoon shirt. Yes, this shirt was purchased in Jamaica on my honeymoon.
Yeah, you even haggled to get it.
Some markets in Jamaica. In the street markets in Jamaica, you have to haggle. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll be like a scene out of Life of Brian. They'll stop you and say, what do you mean, you're not going to haggle me on the price?
Right.
So, yes, I had to do that thing.
I'm wearing my, this is my Water Lantern Festival. If anybody has never gone to one, you should go.
Yes.
It's really kind of cool. It's very woo, but it's a lot of fun. And it says, spread joy, give hope, enjoy life, be kind, create light. Well, I don't know if I'm actually, what's the word, not iridescent, but, capable of creating light.
You're creating light for me.
Well, thanks.
Totes. I'm kind of surprised that I actually still fit in this shirt. That's a bit of a surprise there. And the reason why I had to wear the shirt again is Amy's thinking about vibrancy. Yes. And we're thinking about ways to bring more vibrancy, more fizz, more jazz, more pizzazz.
Yes, more of your 5 senses.
Yes.
Bioluminescence. Thank you, Jim.
Yes, we are luminescent today. Absolutely. Why not? So part of the impetus for the shirt for me is it fits tight. Why does it matter that my shirt that I bought on my honeymoon fits a little bit tight? First of all, I'm glad it still fits. And second of all, I'm going to be starting a new program this week. So before anybody asks, what's our homework assignment for the week? It's just revisit your routines, because this week I'm all about that. I'm not even going to tell you what my new routines look like until I've been doing it for a week. And then I will turn you all into accountability partners the next time we get together. But
Yay.
Wearing this shirt is a staunch reminder, or a starched reminder, that, I got to get a little more in shape. Kind of let myself go.
Feel the endorphins pulse through your veins.
Yeah, well, you would know all about that because you're way ahead of me.
I love exercising.
Amy
I
started
love it.
several months ago on a vigorous routine,
Extremely.
including high disciplined diet isn't even the right word, but healthful eating.
High intensity training, extremely healthful eating, calorie counting, protein counting, all that good stuff. I didn't count the carbs because I didn't eat any. No, I ate complex carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Not simple ones. No bread, no pasta, no sugar, and it really is great. It's, I right now it's been a little bit of a challenge because I'm dealing with some other things, but it's good. Good stuff.
Cool. Excellent. So, yeah, I'm working all about... what did I even just say?
You're
I'm
working on
on
something.
vibrancy.
Yes.
So I've got my Vibrant shirt on. I don't know, maybe I need to get some Vibrant hats.
Yeah.
I have a lot of hats, but I don't know if any of them are vibrant. But, yes, Amy, what have you been thinking about that brings vibrancy to mind?
Yes.
And I'm just catching up in the chat here, so you can let us know exactly what you had in mind there.
So back in 2000 and 2001, my friend and I, Sarah, who lives down in Nashville, Tennessee, we would get on Zoom and we would make up our faces, in all sorts of different ways, whether that was a more dramatic looking or a theme of like, what would a mermaid do with their makeup? Things like that. And that really brought a lot of color and a lot of attention to vibrancy in my life, which I will be ever, forever grateful to her for. And she's awesome. So I did that a little bit today, actually. I don't know if you can see on this.
Love in the eyes.
But I've got a little bit of blue, sort of like extended eyeliner sort of thing, and I got the red lipstick and everything. And I've got my these earrings that I made that I actually wore last night for the Chinese New Year. It's got like a light teal kind of and a red.
Yeah, we need a way to zoom in.
Yes.
I could do that manually here. I just wonder how badly that would upset the algorithm.
No, that's okay. Let's not find out. And so I had found there's a really nice kind of life coach. I would call her a casual life coach. She wrote The Happiness Project. Her name is Gretchen Rubin, she's really good.
We've talked about the Happiness Project before.
We have, and a lot of her concepts.
Very good.
Very good stuff. Very practical, very good. Not too highfalutin. You don't have to commit to like some crazy amount of like bullet journaling and things for her. But she is coming out with a new book starting, it's April 18th, I think, and it's called Life in the Five Senses by Gretchen Rubin. How exploring the senses got me out of my head and into the world.
Awesome.
So since right now there really isn't a lot of world out there to get into because it's so darn cold and gray.
And wet.
And gray.
Miserable.
Miserable.
I know there are people out in the country there who've got snow and they're skiing and they're loving it.
I know Jennifer loves the snow and I appreciate
her. And there are
her
people in California and Florida who are like, no, we don't have any of that and we love what we've got.
Yes.
So this doesn't necessarily apply in the particulars.
I mean, it's nice to get out to... Well, you do need to... I need to bundle up in the cold weather. Some people don't have to do that, but some people go out in Michigan in shorts and sandals when it's 30 degrees out. I won't name names, but... So you bundle up, you get out there in the woods, and it's snow-covered and pristine. All the snow is white and fluffy, and there's just the right amount on each and every single branch that you see, and you focus on the branches, and you focus on the leaves that may still be hanging around, and you see all the, the wood that's fallen and all the different kinds of patterns that makes on the ground. And it's a really delightful thing. And it's especially if you've got a little bit of sunshine out, you're going to have some nice sparkling snow. So yeah, that's one of the things. But those conditions are very specific, and they mostly do not exist in Michigan, or at least where we live in Michigan. So I set out to find some things, and lo and behold, Gretchen Rubin, she delivered. She wrote an article, which I sent you, Robert. Maybe you can put that in the show notes, called 50 Tips to Get Out of Your Head Using Your Five Senses Right Now. So right now, okay. So I highlighted some things that I really liked. So how to get out of your head using your sense of sight. So wear something in a bright color, or wear bright colored makeup, or wear bright colored lipstick, or whatever it is. I really like this one, and this is something that a lot of our poetry fans will really like. It's copy out a short poem or passage by using different colors for different words. Isn't that a cool exercise? I really want to do that.
Yeah, we could do some Lord Byron stuff.
Yeah, we could. And, and you can choose what color you want for each word or each line of the poem, or whatever it is that you think is going to kind of highlight or emphasize the tone or the mood of that particular part of the poem. So that's really fun. It's really great. And then walk around. Okay, this is kind of a scary one. Be ready to be afraid. Okay. Walk around your house with the thought, guests are visiting for the weekend.
Guests are visiting for the weekend.
And at first I thought to myself, wait a minute, what is that? What does she mean by this? And I'm like, oh, because I first thought, I thought she meant like in terms of getting motivated to clean your house.
Right.
No, it's looking at the things that you have in your living room, in your bathroom, in your kitchen, and actually look at that coffee maker. Does it really need to be cleaned? What's the composition on the counter look like? Is it convenient? Are there cups nearby? What would make it more hospitable in terms of logistically putting things where they need to be? Or looking around and saying, you know what, I really like that little stuffed possum on top of our piano. It's really adorable, and I'm glad that I have it there. We also have like a bust of Thomas Jefferson. We have a little red ware heart ornament that's really cute that's hanging on our wall. And I thought, if I were a guest in our house looking around, what would really strike me? What would jump out at me? What would I say, isn't that adorable? Or isn't that nice? Or isn't that meaningful? And
ask yourself, what would spark joy in your guests?
Is this not my beautiful house? As David Byrne might say. So another one is look through an art book and decide which object is your favorite, which painting or whatever it is.
We've done that with the Cordair website.
Yes, we have.
That's fun.
We have. You go to Cordair.com to the Quint Cordair Gallery, Fine Art Gallery, and
pick any one of the artists that has, an artist that has 6 or 10 or 12 different items.
And we do this with Luke Travers, too, when he's actually hosting more of his meetings on Zoom to talk about different paintings and what they might mean and what you like the best. Yeah,
so you can pick out your favorite. And if you've got a friend or a partner, you can each pick out your favorite and then see if they match.
Yes.
Which, last time we did that, we actually picked the same one.
Yes, we did.
That was fun.
Robert and I are very like-minded for some strange reason.
Yes, for some very strange reason.
It's in the water. I don't know. So the next one is return to a familiar place you haven't visited in a long time. Your former neighborhood, school, or grocery store. where you used to grow up, where you used to play. See if that playground is still there that you used to go to when you were a kid. See if that tree is still there that you used to climb. Whatever it is, it's more of a reminiscence kind of thing, but it gets you out of your, it kind of shakes you out of your daily context.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another one is find a colored marker or crayon and draw a quick sketch. Now this is something Robert does often, which I absolutely love about him. And he makes little quick sketches of things or nice typography and fonts and things and colors it in all sorts of different colors. It's really nice.
Jim Ashley says the Stories in Paint book is excellent.
Oh, yes.
That is Luke Travers' latest book. His
Yes.
first one was actually called Touching the Art. And Luke Travers is spelled like Travers, but without an E at the end. Luke
Yes.
Travers. If you do a Google search for Luke Travers Stories in Paint, you will find that.
Yes, Luke Travers' Story in Paint. He also has an app that just came out recently. So he's
Good stuff.
He's doing great things. So I'm going to go through the different senses. And so we just covered sight. And then the other senses, there aren't as many of them. The sense of smell. So go to your bakery cupboard or whatever, your spice rack, find the vanilla and open it up and just give it a nice deep smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, vanilla's great.
If you don't have a spice rack, wherever you keep your spices.
And speaking of where you keep your spices, open a jar, go over to where they are without looking what the label says. Pick one. I don't know. Close your eyes while you're doing it. Pick a spice jar, and then without looking at it, open it up and smell it, and see if you can identify it. And another thing that she recommends, there's actually a really cool, it's called Smell Identification Test for only $28.50.
Oh, well, heck.
You can order a Sensonics Smell Identification Test. It's a commercial version of the University of Pennsylvania Smell Identification Test. And it's a 40-item, one-time use smell test. So you basically spend 15 minutes doing a scratch a sniff on all of these things, and you try to identify what they are to kind of test out your olfactory sense. That sounds kind of fun, actually. What do we have in the...
I'm just catching up on the chat.
Okay. Sense of hearing. So, whistle a tune. If you can't whistle, hum a tune. Just hum, just all of a sudden. Or just, like I do, break out into song for no reason at all at any time. There you go. Hum that tune. Choose a favorite song, sit down, close your eyes, and listen to it without distraction. That's a good one. I got to do that. As a matter of fact, our friends, Lily and John, last night inspired me. John has a turntable for vinyl records, original vinyl records of old swing songs from the 1940s and 30s. The original records. What do you call them again? They're a different kind of material that they use.
Yeah, they're shellac.
They're shellac. Okay. And I guess they break into bits if you
shatter,
break them.
yes.
They shatter. So that was amazing. So I thought I need a vinyl record player here so that I can put on a record and listen to it like I used to do when I was a teenager. Put on your headphones, no other distractions. Don't read your Facebook while you're doing it, and just listen. Oh yes, this I like. Go outside and count how many different types of noises you hear. See if, right now in the dead of winter, you got the wind. You may have some rustling wings of sparrows. You may have the branches maybe kind of in the wind hitting themselves. You may have cars. There isn't a lot, but, try it out. Next is play an instrument. So one of the fun things I recently did was we listened to Rick Beato. Beato is his last name, spelling. And he's he's a music teacher. He knows a lot about rock music and pop music, and he can really talk about it in a very educated way, in a very meaningful way. And so we purchased his ear training course, and I've been studying it. So just focusing on the one sense that you have of hearing is really, really amazing. And I was kind of blown away by it because I thought, gosh, I never just focus on my hearing ever. So it's a lot of fun. Except, of course, if I'm playing an instrument, which I do. So there you are. Sense of taste. Now, here's one that I tried. I may have... tell me, Robert, did I mention this last time on 5 Minutes? Eating an orange?
Yes.
Yes, eating an orange in a hot shower. So I think I recommended or talked about that last time. But again, you could try grapefruit. You can try some pomegranate seeds. You can, figure out some sort of tangy, cold, fruity substance. And heck, maybe even ice cream if you really wanted to go that decadent in a hot shower. So identify one of your favorite foods from childhood and make a plan to eat it. I'm trying to think of, I used to really like, we were poor, so my mom would buy jars of like chocolate frosting, like, Pillsbury or Betty Crocker or whatever, of chocolate frosting in a jar, and saltines. And I would take a saltine and I would spread the cracker with the chocolate frosting, and it was delicious. So maybe I'll try that. Or make my own frosting, which I can easily do. So that would be nice too. Sense of touch. This is something that you do this, Robert, quite a lot. You walk barefoot outside, on the pavement, on the tile floor. You don't wear slippers. I wear slippers. So, but I recently didn't wear slippers this morning, and I was walking on the tile floor thinking, this is interesting. This is a different feeling. Another one is hold an ice cube in your mouth. See how that goes. Rub your fingers against velvet. Of course, if you have any furry friends, give them a little furry friend massage. That's always fun. This is one thing I love to do, especially in the summertime. Touch a plant with an interesting texture. I mean, it could be, the African violet leaves or any things that's kind of mossy, or a jade plant, or even a cactus. But I like touching plants. They don't have to be so sensory like that. I like to just, like leaves on a tree, just kind of swish my hand across them. And it's just a great feeling. So we're almost done here. So another one is, in the same line, is rub your hand across tree bark, which you can do in the wintertime as well. That's really fun. Kind of reminds me of, like, when I was a kid, I would climb the trees and my hands would be on the tree bark. Here's one that you can do anytime. Take a piece of tin foil, crumple it up, shape it, and then uncrumple it and smooth it out. That sounds fun. And of course, there's always the bubble wrap that you can pop, which is a lot of fun. You can put it on the floor and jump on it, or you can do it individually and systematically, sometimes that I do, popping each little bubble in a particular way, in a particular pattern. Yeah, who does that? Who does it randomly, and who does it in a particular pattern? So yeah, she concludes, you can gain a sense of energy doing these things, a sense of playfulness, a connection, and more vitality, more vibrance. Where the present feels more vivid. You open your eyes a little bit more, or you open your ears a little bit more, or whatever your senses are, whatever you want to experience. And you do that, you experience more intensely. You feel more deeply connected to your past and your memories. You can even deepen relationships. She mentioned going to a cryotherapy session, which, by the way, we have one of those in Detroit.
Right.
And she didn't mention the flotation therapy, the where you go into like this pod, and you just float, kind of like in a salt water solution, and you do that for 30 minutes to an hour or so, and it's a sensory deprivation kind of thing. I've always wanted to do that. There's also the hot sauna and cold plunge. So you can go into a hot sauna, and then you can go into a really icy bath. And, you can go to a spa and spend $300 for this kind of stuff. But you know what? You can also try it at home. That's something I need to do, is just turn off the lights, draw a bath, and have you turn off the lights on me, and just like, I'll just float there in the dark. That would be funny. And of course, you can do that. As soon as you get out of that hot bath, you can go outside in the snow in your bathing suit or whatever, and you run, and just like roll around in the snow. There's your cryotherapy.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. So
when I was growing up, we were when I was a teenager living with my folks. We had a hot tub in the backyard, and we would use it in the wintertime. And if it got hot enough in the tub, some of us at least would get out of the hot tub, roll around in the snow, and then jump back into the hot tub.
Yes.
So there's your cryotherapy.
And ever since you expressed that to me, I'm like, I really wish I could do that. We just need a hot tub outdoors.
Let's do it.
Yes.
People who can't handle it, it would be crying therapy. We've got a couple of comments in the chat. Apollo Zeus says, nothing wrong with a bit of white bread and pasta, Amy. Just don't overdo it. Now, I recently posted on Facebook that I think iceberg lettuce is demonized far beyond what it deserves. And Amy, I think you have said before, iceberg lettuce is the devil.
No.
And I know that you feel that way about processed foods as well. So
there's a time and place for that. It's just that since I've been off of it, I eat it, and I'm like, oh, yuck.
There is a time and place for that. I can tell you, because I do a lot of the cooking at Casa de la Nasir. If I make pasta, for example, or if I prepare, well, we don't use white bread, but anything, even wheat bread. You're right. There is a time and place for that. The time is never, and the place is nowhere. So there you go.
No, I understand. I think we did a glow night, and we had bread.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
And I ate bread with butter, and it was like dessert.
Yeah, it's like dessert.
It's just like dessert. Yeah. It's so good. And some of the really sugary processed stuff, I can't even eat anymore because it's just
because you're too healthy. You have too many good habits.
It just tastes like chemicals with sugar. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had the mom bomb, and those of you who know what a bomb shot is, this idea of taking a shot of liquor and dropping it in a glass of something else, and then you pull the shot out and you drink that. And the mom bomb at this club in Detroit, Stash International. No, not like a stash of drugs, but like a mustache. Stash International.
At least that's what we think it might be.
Yeah, and they did the energy drink version of it. So they took a can of Red Bull and dropped the shot in that. The problem is, I don't know why people do. I guess you get used to Red Bull if you drink that stuff.
Yeah.
But Red Bull tastes like a can of chemicals.
It's like turpentine.
So you end up with a drink that tastes like liquor and chemicals.
Yeah.
But I guess if you're used to Red Bull, if you're used to energy drinks...
Yeah, I was not used to it. I went in blind.
Now, after you had a bit of it, you kind of got used to it enough to enjoy it.
It grew on me. And the alcohol, since it dulls your senses, it just, there you are. It's like this circle of self... what's the word? Anyway, it basically worked itself out that way.
Yes. Now, our chat is full of individualists, but the unsigned 32-bit individualist says... Since my house is my man cave, I ask what would scare the guests, and then try to work from there if I can. Speaking of, if my guests saw this, what would they think? Well, that's certainly a strategy. And Apollo Zeus says, I need eyeglasses or contacts. If you're my age and you don't yet need eyeglasses or contacts, there is something, I won't say wrong with you, but unusual.
Well, you have some kind of superpower. Some say.
And it's interesting because I know people my age who have done LASIK. And I would be tempted to do LASIK, except it usually doesn't restore flexibility to your eyesight. It usually lowers it. So what you do is you end up being able to see far distances instead of near distances. Now you end up needing reading glasses. There are some people who will have one eye done more than the other, so they've always got one eye that's in focus. And I guess they get used to that. I can't imagine that wouldn't give me headaches. Anyway, someday, we'll see. And then back to our individualist friend who says, I'm waiting to see Google Maps or Bing capture Robert's driveway chalk art. If you haven't seen my driveway chalk art, you're probably not a member of Meeting for Art, but you should be.
Yes.
Go to Facebook. Of course, you're all friends with us already.
Yeah.
And join Amy's group, Meeting for Art.
Yeah,
we get
just
together.
type in Meeting for Art.
We get together and we meet for art. We talk about art.
Yep. And all different kinds, whether it's dance to music to painting to crayons. I mean,
yeah, it's really just what have you been up to this week?
Yeah.
It's fun. Great fun there. And thank you for all of the chat, and all of the ideas in the chat. Thank you, Amy, for your ideas on increasing your vibrancy by addressing your senses, your 5 modalities. That's a great strategy.
Yeah.
We really, I was going to say we take for granted, but it's not even taking things for granted. We just don't notice. We talk about tunnel vision and needing fresh eyes, but the idea of focusing in a way that lets you have fresh ears or a fresh sense of smell, that's powerful stuff. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. And that's just about all I've got this week. Or rather, I don't have anything this week. Amy, that's just about all Amy's got this week.
I do have one more thing. I just want to give an example of a little spiritual trade or trade.
Mm-hmm.
So a friend of a friend of a friend, basically, who I didn't know, who went to my high school. He and his wife actually went to this high school and didn't know them. But now I do, and it's nice. The husband, he has his own band. It is a kind of like a punk rock, noise rock band.
Yeah, it's a punk band,
and it's good. He does a great
pretty
job.
Straightforward punk, and you might think it would have a Latin feel given the name of the band, which is Norcos y Horchata.
Yes.
But no, it's just a straightforward punk band. Great fun.
Yeah, here is the
we got their album.
I don't quite understand the album cover, but it's a gentleman wearing underwear. There you are.
Or something.
Or some sort
holding
of
up a trophy and
I don't know.
Well, the name of the album is Forever Disheveled.
Oh, there you are.
Which is also the name of one of the songs.
Yeah, here's
the back of the album looks like a more straightforward punk band there.
In the middle. Pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a bit of a joke there in that the bass player is very tall, and you can see in the picture, of course, his head's completely cut off.
But I got to give it to
good band, great energy.
The lead singer, great energy. He just turned 47 this week, and
he still brings it.
And he can jump in the air and land on the ground with his guitar and not fall down or injure himself. So that was fantastic. And since it was his birthday, we brought him a CD of our old album, True Tales of Dereliction by Ron Toole and the Capitalists.
It's out there on all the services.
On CD, it wasn't vinyl. But I gave him that. And then before we left, he gifted us this vinyl album.
Right.
And I was so pleased and so happy. I'm like, I wasn't expecting him to give us a gift. I mean, it was just really surprising, and it was so delightful. And it
went to their swag table, and we're like, "Oh, you're going to sell us one of your albums?" But he gifted it to us. Go figure. Don't do that, kids, because you need to make money. You bands out there. No, it was very cool.
It was really a lot of fun.
We should have brought our vinyl. We do have a single.
Oh, we do.
No, it's an EP because there's 4 songs on one 7-inch vinyl. Our first album, True Tales of Dereliction, is available on all the music services, but that single He Who Must Die, only on vinyl.
That's
It's not on the services. Actually, it's on my YouTube channel. But if you want to hear that.
And it was so funny because we were walking into this pretty, I would say, lefty liberal sort of atmosphere and everything. I mean, at least I'm assuming. And but I should say, the couple people that we met, they were, kind of a little sardonic, a little bit.
It's hard to tell in the punk rock community.
A little rough edged,
In punk rock, there's a lot of anarchy.
Yes.
And a lot of that is associated with libertarian. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
So Robert has his, he's wearing his I Love Fossil Fuels pin.
I love that.
And I'm like, that's the punkest thing
Alex
ever.
Epstein!
It was great. It was a lot of fun. And everybody was really cool and very nice.
Well, and our final single of the band was about assassinating the president, a left-wing president. I won't give any more details than that, other than to say I didn't write the lyrics. Amy didn't write the lyrics. But it might be my best guitar solo.
It's
at
true.
least with
It's
that
true.
band.
Yes.
So anyway, with that said, my post-it note for the week says procrastinate later. The reason, I've done this one once before, but I put it this note to remind myself all of the reasons why I've been procrastinating with regard to a few projects, including some personal improvement projects, are things I can do later. I can enjoy relaxing later. I can enjoy reading that book later. All of the things that tend to distract me from the other things that I know I need to do, I can do those later. So I love the expression procrastinate later. I had thought about actually making it, this one, I'll sleep when I'm dead, which is also a great reminder to myself. This might, not everybody necessarily wants these words in this way, but it reminds me that my time is finite.
Yeah.
Life is short.
And speaking of life being short and our show being longer, we did actually get a specific question from Jim.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. And
I also have to mention, Narendra in the chat says, in regard to senses and modalities and expanding, he says, I do that with music and surrounding sounds, also art and seeing around, and focusing on work and leisure. Also, focus on sinning. Focus on sinning things for Jim and others daily. Satanic work. You'll have to follow Narendra
I'm just going...
Kumar and Jim Ashley on Facebook to know what that's all about.
If there wasn't a typo where he meant singing...
No, he's talking about sinning things, not singing things.
And Santa work, like for
I see. You're trying to make this sound much more nicey nice than it is. No. You take away the sin and, and there's nothing left.
Yeah, thankfully, I gotta say, there isn't a lot of that kind of thought, in at least where we are. Maybe down south there is.
What, sinning?
Yeah.
Well,
the idea that people are going to be suspect of you, like living in Iran or something like that, you're morally depleting society because we see your ankles or something.
That's why we joke about sin, is because at least where we live, it's a foolish concept that nobody actually uses seriously. Right. You never, unless you're a churchgoer, you never hear people talking about, I sinned.
Right, or seriously, yeah.
They may have done something bad. They might even feel guilty about it. Nobody talks about sin. Nobody takes the idea of sin seriously. I always say, I'm older than sin. I have to be older than sin because I invented a few of the good ones.
So Jim, I just want to say we're going to send you a link to another Gretchen Rubin article. And by the way, I just want to give a shout out to Gretchen Rubin because she's pretty darn awesome.
She is.
And
she's not an objectivist, but
no, but she's a woman of she's a very cerebral woman.
She's a value-oriented woman for somebody that's smart.
Yes.
And that's what I want to see.
Yes.
I want to see more like really, really crazy smart people focused on values.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of intellectuals out there focused on intellectual things. And there's a lot of passionate people out there focused on value things. But yeah, Gretchen Rubin is smart and value-oriented.
Right. She is the theory and the practice.
Yes.
Yeah. She is the
1-2 punch.
Yes, she is the saltine cracker and the chocolate icing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apollo Zeus is talking about objectivists who fit the brain in jars stereotype. We have talked about that before. We've known a few.
Yeah.
But fortunately, with a show like this, those people don't come back a second time. So nobody like that in this audience.
So Jim had a question about journaling and how to start with it. What frame of mind do you go in to approach it?
It is a great question because Amy and I, we have both done journaling exercises, but we have found it difficult to maintain them as well.
Yeah. There is one, I've talked about this on the show before called morning pages. I would say morning pages are the lowest standard, the lowest bar that you can meet in terms of getting words or thoughts on paper. Because number one, they're thoughts, but they don't have to be complete thoughts. Do they need to be coherent thoughts? No. Do they need to be complete sentences with subjects and resolutions and all of this? No. Do you need an outline before you write? Hell no. Morning pages, this concept that Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way created, and the idea is 15 minutes of stream of consciousness thought and constant, consistent writing. So you're physically writing non-stop. So if you cannot think of something, you say, you are right, I cannot think of something. But you just keep going. You keep going until you fill 3 pages or however many pages you want. I've done this. It's really rewarding. It's really fascinating. And it gets me to know me better because it breaks down all the walls. For me, anyway, it keeps me from being guarded with myself, and it keeps me from editing.
It's the craziest thing. I've quoted Amy as saying, I can read my own mind. And it's a joke, but it's not a joke because introspection, it turns out, it can't always be done directly. Now, if you've got the first draft handicap, and we've talked about this before, I hate writing a first draft. I hate writing drafts. I want to write a finished product, and I know it'll need a little bit of editing, a little bit of tweaking. I don't want to write a first draft. I don't want to take the time, if I'm going to write an 8-page paper, to write a first draft, which is going to be completely scrapped by the time I get to the second draft. If you've got that handicap, the same handicap I do, the first draft handicap, we hated it when we were in grade school or college, and the literature professor would say, I want you to turn in your rough draft. I'm like, I need my rough draft because it's not really a rough draft. It's my final draft. I'm just going to tweak it a little bit. You got to learn to do rough drafts. So if you're going to do journaling, morning pages are a great way to get over that handicap because it's more like brainstorming than it is writing a journal that you'll go back and read, and it'll be like a published novel of your life. And it is enormously powerful. You will find out things about yourself that you didn't know, and you will work your way through issues in ways that no other method can do. So yeah, powerful stuff. Do a search for morning pages, and you will find Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way.
Yes.
This is not just a book for artists. It's not just a how-to for people who want to do art. Although in Jim's case, he's a writer, so he is an artist. Mm-hmm. This is the concept of morning pages is effective. It is powerful stuff for anybody.
That is right. And now, if you want a more straightforward sort of article about journaling, Gretchen Rubin has a really nice one, which we'll send to you and put in the show notes. Things like, find out why you're journaling. Do you want to reflect on your day-to-day life? Document a particular transition, like working out or eating right or whatever. Knowing yourself better, asking yourself questions, capturing insights, practicing gratitude, or something else. Now, if you do it stream of consciousness, you're going to cover all of that because you're not going to be able to keep those thoughts in, especially if you do it over every day. So setting expectations, how long, how many handwritten pages. Choose your tools. Is it going to be written? I recommend writing it with your hand and a pen or a pencil, but it could be what kind of notebook, or do you want to just do something on your phone? I wouldn't advise that, but look to the past. Do you want to identify, what hasn't worked for you in the past in terms of journaling. What were your hang-ups? What were your obstacles? Start small. Begin with a one sentence entry if you're really shy about it. Make it a joy. Do something with you got your cup of coffee. You've got a nice setting. You're in your pajamas. You've got a nice candle going. Whatever it is, and begin now, which is the last bit of advice.
Good. I will post those not only in the show notes. I don't know if Facebook will let me edit the show notes afterward. Otherwise, I'll put them in a comment. But I'll also do a separate post on Facebook with all of those links that Amy has compiled that are not already part of the show notes, because this is powerful stuff, especially because Paulo Zeus is talking about brains in jars, and we don't want to be that.
No.
We have known those brain in jars people. I'm sure they're still out there, although I haven't known any of them personally in quite a while. But I remember way back when, there was a super high IQ objectivist who would come to conferences to pick up chicks. And the strangest thing wasn't that he came and he wanted to pick up, super high IQ gals who were there. He would always go after the most attractive women.
Yeah.
Who weren't necessarily the smartest women. Not that I'm going to criticize anybody's intelligence, but he seemed to have the idea that he was so, and he was really high IQ. He was so smart that the fact that he didn't do any personal grooming or anything at all to make himself attractive should have been irrelevant.
Yeah.
Basically, his IQ points should have bought him hot points.
Yeah, I would say, ill-fitting clothes and eating junk is not a good way to attract whoever you're trying to attract.
But if you're smart and successful enough, then the cheerleaders should come after you, because your superior intellect should make up for the difference in appearance.
Right. That they should be, and if they don't, then they're just rotten people.
So anyway, point is, yes, we've seen the brain in jar phenomenon. Don't see it much anymore, but again, we don't hang out with people where we would see a lot of that. I'm sure it's still out there, and it's great that you are aware of that and are working on that with folks to the extent that that's even possible. And that's it. I think that's all we got.
I think that's
certainly all we got time for.
Yes.
I said it would be a short episode. Apparently I lied, or rather I did not really think. Well, of course, you brought it, Amy. You totally brought your A game, and that was good. Your Amy game. Thank you for joining us. We will do this again all over next week with a whole different subject, including some of the things that we've been talking about bringing forward. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, things you want to hear us talk about, Jim's always good for that. Things you know that we should be addressing that we're probably not putting as much time into as we should, we want to hear it. As we continue to move the show into directions we have not already been, this being episode 145.
Woo.
145 episodes of this show.
We talk a lot.
We talk a lot. They should be getting real short. They should be like 5 minutes long. If you have ideas, please share them in the chat or in the comments on the Facebook posts, wherever it is you like, including at robertnasir.com, where my super secret email address is posted for all the world to see. Happily, that's a Yahoo account. They do a great job with spam management. So yes, you can reach out to us and let us know. If you want to support the show, and please do, you can go to patreon.com/robertnasir, paypal.com/robertnasir. You don't need to memorize those because both of those links are at robertnasir.com. And by all means, help us out. Help keep the lights on at Studio Nasir. And as always, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. It's another Sunday. It's another great day because you are here with us. We look forward to doing it all again. And in the meantime, we wish you, especially you Ayn Rand fans, you people who know you are here to live your own best life on earth, we wish you success. We wish you flourishing. We wish you happiness. We wish you all the pride, all the self-esteem that you so richly deserve. And as always, we wish you love.